2 years after my divorce, I ran into my ex-wife at the county clerk's office. She was with her childhood sweetheart and our daughter. They really looked like an enviable family. My daughter, Lily, ran over excitedly and hugged me. "Daddy, Lily missed you so much." I calmly pulled my leg away and looked at Isabella. "Here to get your marriage license? Congratulations. I wish you a lifetime of happiness." She gave an awkward laugh. "I'm here for a divorce." Then she asked anxiously, "Are you getting married?" I waved the document in my hand. "I'm getting a certificate of single status." I never thought I'd see Isabella again, especially not at the county clerk's office. Holding my freshly issued certificate, I happened to bump into her at the entrance as she was walking with her head down. She was stunned for a moment, staring blankly at me. "How had you been these past 2 years?" I have no interest in making small talk with my ex-wife. The humiliation of what she did was still fresh. I started walking away, answering curtly, "I'm fine." She hurried after me and grabbed my arm. "Are you getting married?" Her question was bizarre. Why would she care if I was getting married? Seeing the impatience on my face, Isabella let go of my sleeve and tried to fill the silence. "We haven't seen each other in 2 years. That was true. The last time we met was 2 years ago, right here in this building. That was the day we ended our 3-year marriage. I gave up custody of her daughter and walked away with nothing in exchange for the divorce papers. She had asked me at the door, "When are you coming back to get your things?" I glanced at the sky, then back at her. "How about now?" I only took the key to the old family house and the only photograph I had of my father. As I was leaving, Isabella, holding Lily's hand, stared at me. "Leave the house key." My hand didn't pause on the doorknob. I replied quietly, "It's on the table." I heard her furious voice behind me. "You're the one who insisted on this divorce. Ethan has no family or friends, and he's suffering from depression. What's wrong with me spending more time with him? Why are you so petty about it? Even Lily knows he needs companionship and warmth." I turned to see my daughter nodding enthusiastically and Isabella looking at me with utter disappointment. Under their combined accusatory stares, I pushed the wheels of my chair and got out of there as fast as I could. Ethan had no family or friends, but I only had her and my daughter. I looked down at the photo of my father. Now I didn't have to compete with Ethan anymore. My wife and daughter were no longer mine. Ethan was Isabella's childhood sweetheart. They grew up together. Ethan's father had been the Jones family's driver. When Isabella was 7, she playfully started the car, and the driver gave his life to save her. Ever since, to repay that debt, Ethan became like another child in the Jones household, living and growing up alongside Isabella. During their teenage years, feelings blossomed, and a handsome boy and beautiful girl became a well-known couple, eventually sleeping together. When it was discovered, Ethan was sent to study abroad in India. For years, they maintained a relationship online. This lasted until the COVID pandemic hit, crippling the economy and plunging the Jones family into debt. It was around that time that I found Isabella on the street, about to be taken advantage of while she was drunk, and I saved her. I helped Isabella navigate her family business through that tough economic winter. We saw the recovery, and we welcomed our daughter, Lily. Then, at Lily's second birthday party, Ethan suddenly appeared. He stared at Isabella with deep affection, telling her how much he missed her, recounting his suffering with COVID and the hardship of his journey back. That day was also our 3rd wedding anniversary. Isabella cried, trembling in Ethan's arms. Everything that followed was a familiar, sordid cliché. Everything that was mine became his. Isabella took Ethan for a full physical. Not only were his long COVID symptoms not getting better, but he was also diagnosed with severe depression. Then, Isabella happened to discover the scars on his wrist. "Daniel," she told me, "the doctor said patients who self-harm can't be left alone. They need love and warmth." I pressed her, refusing to accept it. "So what does that mean?" "He doesn't have any other family. I want to move him into our house so I can look after him." "I don't have any other family either," I said. The moment I said that, her face changed. "How can you be so selfish? He's sick and needs company." "You're not sick." She stopped just short of saying that if I didn't agree to Ethan moving in, I'd be a monster. Seeing her reaction, I didn't argue anymore. For the next few months, I was busy at work while Isabella stayed home to care for Ethan and Lily. I felt like a stranger in my own house. Then one day, a tire fell from a rack and crushed my leg. As I sat in the ambulance, a single thought crossed my mind. Good, now I need to be taken care of too. The injury was sudden, but not life-threatening. Isabella didn't spare much time for me. By the time I was discharged, she had only paid 2 token visits, neither lasting more than 30 minutes. My injury wasn't severe, just a fractured shin, but a broken bone takes time to heal, so I began my recovery under the same roof as Ethan. The difference was he stayed in the room next to the master bedroom upstairs, while I was in the guest room downstairs. Isabella said that with my injured leg, stairs will be difficult. Daniel, you don't mind, do you? His room is closer, which makes it easier for me to look after him, and it saves you from having to climb the stairs. I don't mind, I said. Out of some sense of humanity, I told myself saving a life was a great deed. As long as she wasn't taking care of him in his own bed, I told myself I didn't mind. Ethan made a point of coming downstairs to visit me every day, always picking a time when Isabella was around. One day, talking about his health, Ethan mentioned that the steroid medication was making him gain weight. As he said this, his mood visibly sank, and what little attention Isabella had for me was completely diverted. She immediately whisked Ethan and Lily away to go exercise. They looked exactly like a happy little family. At dinner, I stared at the table full of takeout Isabella had brought home, with nothing I could eat. It was all of Ethan's favorites and all things I was supposed to avoid. Isabella's face was flushed with enjoyment. Daniel, why aren't you eating? This Sichuan place Ethan picked is amazing. The doctor said I can't have anything spicy. Isabella paused for a second. I just wanted Ethan to eat more so he can get better. You only have a fracture. A little bit should be fine, right? I tightened my grip on my fork and glanced at Ethan's smug face. Yeah, it's fine. Out of some stupid male pride, I ate the spicy food. Even though I chugged water afterward, my wound became infected and I spiked a high fever. This time, Isabella came with me to the hospital. My fever hadn't even broken when Ethan was admitted right after me. He'd had a depressive episode and cut his wrist. When Isabella rushed to his private room, she forgot to take Lily with her. In my delirium, I heard my little girl's sweet voice making a wish. At first, I felt a sense of comfort. Whatever was happening with my wife, at least my daughter was my own. I hope my daddy dies from the fever, she said, so Uncle Ethan can be my new daddy. Someone asked her why she wanted a new dad. Uncle Ethan is clean and handsome, and he smells nice. The daughter I had doted on my entire life thought I was dirty and smelly and wanted another man to be her father. Isabella and Lily stayed with Ethan in his private room, while I had a hired nurse in a standard ward. Everyone from the doctors and nurses to the other families assumed they were a family of 3. Ethan sent me a photo via email with a taunt. You're just a greasy mechanic. How can you possibly compete with me? In the picture, Isabella was in her pajamas, sleeping soundly in Ethan's arms. On his other side, Lily was also fast asleep, her little bottom sticking up in the air. I stared at that photo all night, confirming again and again that the bed they were in was the one I had searched all over the city for when we got married. As dawn broke, I knew it was time for me to wake up from this nightmare. Before I could even bring up divorce, Isabella came looking for me. Ethan's mother had somehow found out where he was and showed up at the hospital demanding money. The stress made Ethan's condition worse, and Isabella stormed into my room, ready to blame me. I picked up the papers she had thrown at my face in front of everyone in the ward. It was a printout of an iMessage money transfer from me to Ethan's mother. You knew Ethan needed a rest. Why did you send that woman to see him? Now he's threatening to kill himself. Are you happy now? Isabella was hysterical, slapping at my broken leg as she yelled. I'm just looking after him. I wasn't going to divorce you. Why can't you just understand? I knew it was pointless to argue. She wouldn't believe me. I pulled out the divorce papers I'd already printed. Let's get a divorce, I said. Then you can take care of him forever. The county clerk's office is never short on business. People come and go in pairs. Isabella and I stood about 6 feet apart, facing each other. I tried to find you after, she said, but I couldn't get in touch. When we divorced, I only took the photo of my father and the key to the old family house. I was recovering there the whole time she was supposedly looking for me. It was only a 30-minute drive away, but it was a place she had never been willing to visit. She could have even recognized the house from the background of that photo if she'd ever bothered to look closely. "What is it?" I asked. Isabella looked at me, hesitating before finally saying meekly, "Lily's been asking for her daddy. She says she misses you." I replied flatly, "Doesn't she have a father?" "The one she wished for, Uncle Ethan." When I first heard my daughter wish I was dead, my heart felt like it had been put through a blender. 2 years later, I've mostly made peace with it. I had no desire to catch up with my ex-wife, especially since I was on my way to the city's redevelopment office. I glanced at my watch. "I have to go." Before I could finish my sentence, a little pink cannonball shot forward and wrapped her arms around my leg. "Daddy, you came. Lily missed you so much." It was my daughter. I looked down and saw my own features in her face. I gently pinched her cheek and slowly eased my leg away. Ethan was trailing behind them, looking more haggard than he did 2 years ago, but his mouth was just as foul. "Can't get rid of you, can we? You must have smelled us from a mile away." He clearly thought I was there to make trouble. If I had known they were getting married today, I would have waited a few more days to get my buyout check rather than come here for this certificate. "Congratulations," I said. "You finally made it official." All three of them stared at me. Isabella's expression was complicated, Lily looked confused, and Ethan was so direct you could practically read the hatred on his face. I had no idea what was going on. Isabella bit her lip, holding Lily's hand and looking down at the floor. Then she suddenly looked up, meeting my eyes. "Do you really not know? Were you doing this on purpose?" Lily, being just a kid, started, "Daddy, it's not." Isabella cut her off. "I'm here to get a divorce." My brain couldn't keep up. I've been wondering why it took them so long to finally get married after everything. It turned out they already were, and now they were splitting up. What on earth had happened over the past 2 years? Seeing me frozen, Lily came over and tugged on my sleeve. "Daddy, please come home with me and Mommy." I snapped out of it and just patted her on the head, not saying a word. She was still my daughter, a child I had once adored. I didn't have the heart to disappoint her. My silence must have given Isabella some hope. "Daniel, I cut her off. There is no we now." It was her turn to be shocked. "But you said you were single." I almost laughed. "And being single means I have to get back with you?" She said, a bitter edge to her voice. "I'll be divorced in a minute. You're Lily's father. We should be together." Her twisted logic was almost impressive. I decided not to engage. Lily grabbed onto me again. "Daddy, I'm not letting you go." I gently pried her fingers off my shirt. "Daddy has to go. I'll see you later. Mommy's getting divorced right now. Then you can be together again. We're supposed to be a family." Such a serious expression looked strange on a 5-year-old's face. I glanced up at Isabella and saw she had no intention of intervening. I scoffed. "Lily, weren't you the one who wished I would die from my fever? When your mom and I got divorced, you were happy about it." My question left her speechless. After a moment, she stammered, "But you're my daddy." "That's different. I used to think I was different, too. Right up until my own daughter wished me dead." When she saw her words weren't working, Lily burst into tears and started making a scene. She cried and demanded that I remarry her mother, pulling on my arm to take me home. The shrieks of a 5-year-old girl immediately drew a crowd. The situation was quickly getting out of hand. A security guard had to come over to restore order. Isabella finally decided to speak up. "She hasn't seen you in 2 years. Lily's just a little emotional." I met her gaze calmly, ignoring their little act. "Daniel, I'll let this one time slide. I won't hold it against you." For a second, I thought I had misheard her. It seemed more likely than her actually being that delusional. I needed to get away from this lunatic. Ethan, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. "Isabella, you actually believe he's single? He's probably slept with half the city by now." Isabella snapped back. "Ethan, just because you have a filthy mind doesn't mean everyone else does. You think everyone lies as easily as you breathe? Was it fun faking your depression?" Ethan's already pale face went completely white. I only found out he wasn't really sick by pure chance. After the divorce, I went back to the old family house to recover, and I wasn't trying to keep tabs on them. Thanks to Isabella, My leg injury had gotten worse, and I needed another surgery to fix it. I was bored just wheeling myself around the hospital when I overheard a couple of nurses chatting. It turned out Ethan had called his mother to the hospital himself. He had cut his wrist intentionally because he was angry that Isabella was paying attention to me. He had even bribed a doctor to fake the depression diagnosis. Suddenly, it all made sense why Ethan's episodes were always so perfectly timed. Why his mother showed up exactly when she did. But still, one of them said, "How would the husband know the other guy's mom? The other guy must have set him up. That poor husband." It was a plot hole so obvious that even strangers could see it. Yet Isabella had blamed me without a second thought. And get this, the other guy barely broke the skin, but they wrapped it up like a major injury. What a drama queen. And the wife is supposed to be some big CEO. She's completely blind. See, even strangers saw how clumsy Ethan's lies were. But he correctly gambled on Isabella's bias. His transparent lies were just the final push I needed to leave. I didn't expose him back then, and I hadn't planned on saying anything today. But I had underestimated Ethan's shamelessness. Fine, let them tear each other apart. Isabella's face was a mask of disbelief. She stared at Ethan. "You're not sick?" A suicide attempt. It was all fake. Ethan's arrogant expression instantly melted into one of a wounded victim. "No, you saw the cut. I still have the scar." Just then, the number was called for the divorce proceeding. Ethan grabbed Isabella's arm, tried to pull her along. "We're not doing anything until I get to the bottom of this," Isabella said, pulling her arm away. When she wasn't letting her emotions rule her, she was actually smart. No matter how well Ethan played the victim, a seed of doubt had been planted. Because she knew I never lied. "Isabella, I don't want this divorce," Ethan pleaded. "You don't even have to give me a cent from the settlement." So that was his angle. If they divorced, he'd get settlement. If it didn't, he'd keep spending her money. He won either way. "Isabella, you should really do some digging. See if he's as innocent as you think." With that, I turned and walked away. I had a buyout to collect. I was in a hurry and driving fast. It wasn't until I stopped at a red light that I noticed Lily huddled in the back seat. She must have been afraid I'd make her leave. "Daddy, I want to come with you," she said quickly. "I'll be good. I won't be any trouble." It was too much of a hassle to turn back, so I had no choice but to take her with me to the redevelopment office. While we were there, I saw another family going through the same process. The dad had his kid up on his shoulders, and the mom was watching them lovingly, telling him to be careful. Lily stared at them with pure envy, her little hands squeezing mine tighter. I crouched down to her level. "You want to do that?" She nodded, then quickly shook her head. "You could just hug me. I don't need to sit on your shoulders." Her voice trailed off, and her eyes were filled with a hint of fear. I remembered how Lily used to be glued to me the moment I got home from work. She practically grew up in my arms and on my back. Now, she was jealous of a simple shoulder ride and was afraid to even ask for a hug. I slowly lifted her into my arms. For a 5-year-old, she felt as light as a feather. "Doesn't your new dad pick you up?" Lily wrapped her arms tightly around my neck. "He says I'm too heavy. He says I'm a big girl now and have to walk on my own." I never thought she was heavy. I used to rush home just to hug her and toss her in the air. But then again, she used to think I smelled bad. I carried Lily back to the car and sat her down in the back seat across from me. I looked at her seriously. "Lily, your mother and I are over. We can't live together again. It's impossible." Lily looked down, her little lips pressed together as tears streamed down her face. In the past, I would have given her anything to stop her from crying. Now, all I could do was sigh and wait for her to compose herself. "I thought you liked Ethan," I said. "Weren't you happy to have a new dad?" Between sobs, she managed to say, "I was at first, but Mommy said you didn't like him, and you were mad at her, so you divorced her and didn't want me anymore either." She spoke in fits and starts, but I understood. She was happy with the arrangement at first, but not anymore. "Lily, it's not that I don't want you. But weren't you the one who wished I would die so Ethan could be your father? It's true that I asked for the divorce first, but that was after you and your mother chose Ethan. Lily, I never abandoned you. You'll always be my daughter, but that's all we can be." Lily threw herself into my arms, her tears soaking through my shirt. I sighed and patted her back. Is Ethan not nice to you? That just made her cry harder. He used to be, but after he and Mommy got married, he stopped paying attention to me. He says I need to grow up and stop being a baby. Of course, he'd already won the prize. Why would he bother trying to win over the kid? Seeing my silence, Lily looked up at me cautiously, her eyes pleading. Daddy, I know I was wrong. You're my only good daddy. Please don't be mad at me anymore, okay? I know Mommy misses you too. Please come home, Daddy. We're supposed to be a family. Looking at my 5-year-old daughter, I felt more disappointment than anger. I had already accepted things the moment she wished for a new father. She was still my daughter, but nothing was the same. Lily, Daddy has his own life now. Your family is your mother and Ethan. I drove Lily home, but she refused to get out of the car. I had to carry her to the nanny and was about to leave when Isabella came running out. She said she was busy dealing with the Ethan situation and didn't have the energy to look after Lily, asking if her daughter could stay with me for a few days. I told her it wasn't a good time. Daniel, I know you're mad at me, but Lily is your daughter too. I don't trust anyone else with her. It's really not convenient, I insisted. I'm living at the auto shop right now. It's not a safe place for a kid. Isabella had no choice but to let me go. She stood in the doorway, holding on to our crying, struggling daughter. Maybe she was angry that I wasn't begging to get back together, or maybe Lily's crying set her off. She ran up and grabbed my arm. You were the one who couldn't handle me taking care of Ethan. You insisted on a divorce and abandoned your own daughter. And I never even blamed you for sending his mother to cause all that trouble. Her logic was astounding. I yanked my arm free and headed for my car. She ran to block my path again. Daniel, you knew about the redevelopment project for the old house all along, didn't you? You planned all of this. I was completely stunned by her furious accusation. It only took her a few hours to find out about the buyout, but I guess she didn't find out when it was approved. Isabella, just because your mind works that way doesn't mean mine does. She stuck her chin out, defiant. Fine, maybe I'm wrong about the buyout. But what about the money you sent to Ethan's mother? How do you explain that? This woman was unbelievable. I didn't explain it then, and I'm not going now. You should ask the person who fed you that story. Daniel, I'm sorry, she started, but Ethan said. I cut her off, exhausted. Get out of my way. I got in my car and drove off, leaving the two of them standing there. I didn't feel like I could breathe again until I was back in my auto shop. The auto shop had only been open for 6 months and wasn't fully established yet. Thanks to Isabella, my second surgery had put me in the hospital for a month, followed by 6 more months of rehab before I could even walk properly. I spent another half year after that recovering at the old family house before I could squat and move like normal. There was no news of a redevelopment project back then. I used the money I'd saved in college to get back into my old line of work. I'd majored in mechanical engineering in college, partly because of how my father died, but also because I genuinely loved it. I was top of my class the entire time and won the department's high scholarship. To put my knowledge into practice, I opened my own auto shop. Over the years, with professional service and constantly improving skills, the shop just kept growing. By the time I graduated, I had a healthy savings account and had made a small name for myself in the business. The night I saved Isabella, I was back in my hometown on vacation to visit my father's grave. I was just trying to help someone in trouble. I never imagined where it would lead. To help her save her family's company, I closed my own shop and went to work for her as a technical consultant. Now I'm a mechanic again, working for myself. And this time, there's no one around to complain about the smell of grease on my clothes. Given Ethan's despicable behavior, there were some scores I wanted to settle. I went back to the hospital and anonymously reported him for bribing a doctor to falsify his medical records. The doctor was quickly investigated, and Ethan's real condition, nothing more than mild anxiety, was exposed. Isabella finally stopped letting her emotions dictate her actions and brought in her company's lawyers to handle the divorce. During that time, her driver would bring Lily to the auto shop every day. She would sit with me for hours, not even minding when I was covered in grease. The few guys who worked for me all knew I had a daughter and was divorced. Isabella started coming by sometimes too. She would just sit there, staring into space. And every time before she left, she'd look at me with this hesitant, wounded expression, as if I was the one who had wronged her. Eventually, my employees started gossiping. She's trying to get back with the boss, right? Bringing the kid here every day, putting on that sad face to make him feel sorry for her. I bet we're about to get a boss's wife. When I overheard them, I just said flatly, that will never happen. One day, Isabella came and tossed a manila envelope on my desk. I handed it right back to her without opening it. I wanted nothing more to do with her. Daniel, does it have to be like this? She asked. You walked away with nothing. These are company shares. You earned them. You're right, I did earn them, I said. Half of your company's success is because of me, but I don't want the shares. The fact that she was offering them meant Ethan must have been giving her a really hard time. If you insist, put them in Lily's name. I'm still her father, after all. Isabella looked like she was about to cry. Ethan was threatening to kill himself. We only got married so I could take care of him without causing a scandal. And Lily said she liked him. I wasn't in the mood for her excuses. I cut her off. What's done is done. Just try to be a better mother to Lily. And open your eyes the next time you get involved with a man. Her eyes shot wide and she said, as if making a vow, I'm never getting married again, unless it's to you. Don't say things you don't mean. You don't believe me? No, not since the day Ethan slept in our bed. The next time I saw Sarah, she had news about Ethan's mother. I found her. She died in a car accident 3 months ago. We went to the funeral home together. On the form to claim the ashes, in a space for relationship to the deceased, I wrote son. In the parking lot, Isabella grabbed my arm as I held the urn. She seemed desperate to confirm something, her grip tight on my wrist. Daniel, was Ethan's mother your mother too? Yes, I said. My stepmother, to be exact. I opened my car door, and she got in with me. I started the engine, and the silence was deafening. You've known Ethan this whole time? She finally asked. Since I was 3, I replied. A few years before you met him. I drove to the river and buried the ashes by the bank. Isabella, I said, that night I found you. Even with all the makeup and as drunk as you were, I recognized you instantly. You were the little girl my father died to save. My mother died, giving birth to me. When I was 3, my father met and married Ethan's mother, and we all moved to this city. My father got a job as a driver for a wealthy family, responsible for taking their daughter to and from school. Gradually, my father started bringing home new toys and expensive snacks, things I'd never had before. But he was gone all day, and my stepmother doted on her own son. I only got to eat Ethan's leftovers and play with the toys he discarded. And then one day, my father never came home at all. When the Jones family came looking for the driver's son, my stepmother pushed Ethan forward. It was a coincidence of fate. Ethan had taken my father's last name, Miller, while I had taken my birth mother's, Smith. The Jones family never suspected a thing. Ethan took my place, and my stepmother left with me, with the money the Jones family gave her. My stepmother got addicted to gambling. She would disappear for days on end. I grew up in a haze, surviving on the kindness of neighbors. The day I left for college, I cut off all ties with her. I only saved you, Isabella, because I didn't want the girl my father gave his life for to be destroyed. She stared at me in disbelief, her eyes red-rimmed, her voice thick with accusation. Why didn't you tell me when Ethan showed up? Why didn't you say you knew him? I was going to, I said, but you were in his arms, crying so hard you could barely breathe. There wasn't an opportunity. And after that, what would have been the point? I could have exposed Ethan by revealing who I really was, but what good would it have done? To be trapped with a cheating wife and a daughter who wished I was dead? So I said nothing. I just left. Isabella looked at me, tears streaming down her face, as if this was all somehow my fault. I only tolerated Ethan because of what your father did for me. I never wanted a divorce. I wanted to grow old with you. I felt sick to my stomach. Isabella, you're not a stupid woman, but you were never rational when it came to Ethan. You willingly enabled him and covered for him, and you used your debt as an excuse for your blatant favoritism. His depression was fake. His identity was stolen. Even his own mother showing up was a scene he directed himself. How could you not have been suspicious of a scam so full of holes? Isabella, even if you came crawling back, I wouldn't take you. I will never be with you again. When I saved you, I was thinking of my father, and I've never regretted that. but I should never have married you, and we never should have had Lily. Some flaws, it seems, are hereditary. Luckily, it wasn't too late for me to pull myself out of that swamp. My tirade completely shattered her pride. Her lips trembled as she asked in disbelief, "So you were never jealous of Ethan? You divorced me simply because you didn't want me or Lily anymore." Where was the sharp mind of a successful CEO? She always missed the point. To put an end to this conversation, I met her fragile, pleading gaze and said, "Yes." I made my decision the moment I saw that picture of the three of you together. The three of you can have a nice life together, keeping the toxicity contained. As I drove away, I saw Isabella crumpled on the ground, her body shaking. But it didn't matter. We were never on the same path. I watched her shrinking figure in my rearview mirror and whispered to myself, "It's over. It's finally over. I want to visit my father's grave." I told him I was divorced and that my stepmother was dead. I told him that I was doing well now. I picked a handful of wildflowers, the same kind that used to grow behind the old house, and laid them on his headstone. "Dad," I opened up the auto shop again. The wind rustled the flowers, and for a moment, the smile on his photograph seemed to grow warmer. "Don't worry, Dad. I'm going to be okay." I leaned back against the cool stone, tears streaming down my face before I even realized I was crying. Ethan showed up at my shop, slamming his hand on the counter. "Are you happy now? You've been a conniving snake since we were kids. I'm not going to lose to you." He was ranting. "I just wanted the money. I wasn't bothering you. Why couldn't you just leave me alone?" His face was red, and he was screaming hysterically, on the verge of complete collapse from his tirade. I pieced things together. "Isabella didn't give you any money, and you were planning on leaving your mother behind to go abroad." At the mention of money, Ethan became even more furious, but when I mentioned his mother, his eyes shifted and his face went pale. He mumbled a few denials and then left in a hurry. I'd had my doubts about my stepmother's death, but I had never suspected him. His reaction today made me wonder. Soon enough, I heard the news. Ethan was in prison. After I cut her off, my gambling-addicted stepmother had turned to blackmailing him, her demands growing larger each time. She had threatened to expose his true identity multiple times. Finally, humiliated and enraged, Ethan got drunk one night and ran her over with his car. About a month later, Isabella showed up at the shop again, holding Lily's hand. She was dressed in a way she knew I liked, and even Lily was dressed up. "I sold the house," she said. "I got a new car. I've erased every trace of Ethan from my life. Daniel, can we please start over?" She reached for my hand as she looked at me with hopeful eyes. I pulled my hand back and wiped down my pants twice. You can sell things and throw them away, but what about a person? A mind? The person that Ethan touched. My words were cruel, and she flinched as if I'd struck her. But she tried to sound strong. "I know I hurt you. It's okay if you don't love me now. I'll keep trying until you do." She was certainly confident. I, however, had no interest in picking up someone else's leftovers. Lily ran over to hug me. "Daddy, I miss you, and Mommy misses you too. Please come home," I said, my face like stone. "Don't come here again." I said to both of them, then turned and walked away. There was a technical conference in Boulder, so I was away from the shop for a while. My receptionist told me Isabella had been coming in every day, sometimes alone, sometimes with Lily. She would just sit there for hours, not saying a word, just staring at the photo of me and my father on my desk. When I got back to the shop, Isabella's face lit up. I was about to tell her that this was pointless and she needed to stop, but then she held up her right hand. On her ring finger was the wedding band I had given her. We don't see each other for 2 years, and then we run into each other at the county clerk's office of all places. "Daniel, don't you think it's a sign that fate is giving us another chance?" I stared at the ring, my eyes unfocused. "I threw mine away the day we divorced." "It's okay," she said, opening a small blue velvet box. "I had a new one made for you." I stepped closer, picked up the ring, and held it up to the light. "It's a shame," I said. "This isn't my size." I slowly closed the lid of the box. Just like us, we were never the right fit. Isabella froze, still holding out the box. "What do you mean it was wrong? Why can't it work?" "Isabella," I said, "I came here today to tell you I've sold the shop. The new owner takes over next week. The old house my father left me came with a huge tract of land behind it. With the redevelopment buyout, I was suddenly wealthy. I was moving to a major city to start a new life. You're leaving for good? Isabella's voice was filled with panic. What about Lily? Are you just going to abandon her? Lily will always be my daughter, I said. I'll come back and visit when I can, but that's it. I gave my employees a quick rundown of the situation. When I returned to the office, Isabella was still standing there in a daze. I took the photo of my father and me from the desk and walked out. I heard later that Isabella offered an insane amount of money to buy the shop, but I refused. The shop's new owner on paper is an old college friend of mine. It's just a front to keep Isabella away. There are some people you just need to cut out of your life completely. On the day I left, Lily must have heard I was going. She was waiting for me at the gate of my apartment complex, and I couldn't avoid her. She saw me from a distance and started crying, calling out for her daddy. Isabella trailed behind her, pale and gaunt. Daddy, are you leaving me? Are you abandoning me again? I picked her up and held her close, rubbing her back. You'll always be my little girl. Are you going to get married again? She asked. And have other kids? I glanced over at Isabella, who was staring at the ground, pretending she hadn't heard. Yes, I said. Daddy will marry someone he loves, and will probably have other children. Both of their faces fell. It had to be a clean break. I said my goodbyes to Lily. As I started the car, I heard her small voice say, Daddy, I'm sorry. But it was too late. It had been over for a long time. In my second year in Chicago, I won the National Award for Automotive Technology. In my third year, I met a woman who was gentle and kind. In my fifth year, we had a daughter of our own. And from that day forward, my life has been filled with sunshine.